an Iranian weapon threw the Pentagon off balance in the Red Sea, forcing American aircraft carriers to change course and withdraw, leaving Israel to face Yemen alone. And as Trump moved his carriers toward the Caribbean to pressure Venezuela, an unexpected response came from Moscow. The Russian reply was blunt. The drones that pushed aside the US Navy in the Red Sea are now headed to Venezuela, 2,000 units, ready for launch. A new Cold War of attrition is looming on the horizon. A locust swarm attack capable of draining America's expensive air defense stockpiles before a real war even begins. So what's the story of these drones that have become a nightmare for American carriers from the Red Sea all the way to the Caribbean? Will the US fleet withstand such swarms if they are launched from Venezuela soil? Or will we witness the same retreat we saw in the Red Sea? Serious questions and dramatic insights. We uncovered them step by step. Stay with us until the end and don't forget to like and share so this episode reaches everyone. Iran 2, Moscow's eye over the Caribbean. To understand the gravity of Putin's move, we must go back to the roots of the Iran 2 drone. It's not purely a Russian creation, but a locally upgraded version of the famous Iranian Shahed 136, the drone that changed the course of the war in Ukraine, turned Kiev's skies into a daily nightmare, and later transferred its expertise to the Red Sea, where it exhausted US defenses and forced Washington to think twice before confronting Yemen. Today, the same battlefield experience is being transferred to the Western Hemisphere, where Venezuela could transform the Caribbean into a testing ground for the US Navy's patience, using an even more advanced version of Iran's Shahed drones. The Iran 2 is about 3.5 meters long with a wingspan of around 2.5 meters. Its triangular aerodynamic fuselage allows for stable, low-altitude flight for hours, the perfect profile for sneaking toward naval targets with minimal warning. Its airframe is made from pressed wood and cheap composite materials, enabling mass production even under sanctions. This design also reduces radar visibility, allowing the drone to approach dangerously close before detection, putting any destroyer or carrier in sudden jeopardy. At its nose, it carries a 30 to 40 kilogram warhead, enough to ignite fires on a carrier deck or disable a destroyer's radar with a single accurate hit. With a range of 2,500 kilometers, Venezuela could launch them from deep inside its territory, striking US naval forces anywhere in the Caribbean, even near Florida's shores. Navigation is handled via GLONASS and GPS with a simple autopilot. Western reports suggest that some Russian variants are fitted with an electro-optical seeker, guiding the drone precisely toward its target during the terminal phase, making it deadlier against moving ships. This means a single wave of dozens of drones could overwhelm a carrier strike group, forcing it to retreat or change course entirely. The real danger, however, lies in the cost. Each drone costs only $20,000 to $30,000, while US interceptor missiles range from $5,000 to over $1 million per shot. 2 or 3 successive swarms could deplete an entire carrier group's air defense stockpile within hours, leaving the fleet exposed to the next wave. And this is not a theoretical scenario. A primitive, locally built version of these drones already forced the US Navy to change its rules of engagement and pull back from the Red Sea, leaving Israel to face the situation on its own. So what happens if this scenario repeats itself in the Caribbean, this time with improved drones in far greater numbers under Moscow's direct supervision? Shahed 136 from Ukraine to the Caribbean. To grasp how serious the deployment of 2,000 Giran-2 drones to Venezuela is, we must recall their battlefield record. These drones were born in Iran as the Shahed 136, a simple, low-cost platform with a small engine and basic materials, yet they reshaped the war in Ukraine from the very first months of use. They were launched in coordinated waves, striking power plants, fuel depots, and command centers until air raid sirens became part of daily life in Kiev and Odessa. Russia did not merely import them, it localized production and upgraded them under the name Giran-2, improved navigation through GLONASS, modified components to resist jamming, and reportedly equipped some units with optical seekers for more precise terminal strikes. These upgrades made the drone deadlier and harder to intercept, especially when launched in mass swarms. And their use was not limited to Ukraine. On September 9, 2025, nearly 20 Russian drones, most believed to be Giran-2s, penetrated Polish airspace from the east. Polish radars detected them too late, forcing major airports like Warsaw and Rajov to shut down for hours and scramble fighter jets to intercept. Even though some were shut down, the incident was enough for Poland to invoke NATO Article 4 and call for an emergency alliance meeting, a chilling sign that these kamikaze drones can now reach NATO's own airspace. These were not just tactical attacks, they were strategic tests. Russia was measuring Western reaction times, probing air defenses, and mapping NATO's decision-making speed. That's why military analysts now call them a strategic attrition weapon. If they caused this level of alarm in Europe, imagine what they could do in the Caribbean, just a few hundred kilometers from US carriers. The dark side. For all its terrifying potential, the Giran-2 has weaknesses. Its speed is only 200 km per hour, making it vulnerable to anti-aircraft guns or even heavy machine guns if detected early. Its piston engine produces a loud, distinctive noise, often described as sounding like a motorbike, giving defenders a few minutes of warning to activate sirens and prepare. It relies heavily on satellite navigation GLONASS/GPS, which can be jammed or spoofed, causing it to drift off course or crash before reaching its target. But none of these weaknesses eliminate its threat. Their effectiveness increases exponentially when launched in large swarms. One drone might be easy to shoot down, but dozens or hundreds launched simultaneously can saturate radar screens and drain expensive interceptor stockpile in minutes. In the Red Sea, even with advanced defensive systems, US warships were repeatedly forced to withdraw to safer waters after several successful drone strikes. And so the question remains, will Russia's shipment of 2,000 drones to Venezuela lead to a repeat of the US Navy's retreat, this time on a far larger scale, in the very heart of the Caribbean? Tell us what you think in the comments, and if you believe this episode deserves to be seen, support us with a like and share. Your engagement helps us continue exposing the untold stories and critical files.